Yeah.
But yeah, let's move on.
I guess, Aston Villa next.
Aston Villa, who
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
who they started crying, man. They started crying again. It's not. I mean, the decision was poor, right? Yeah, I mean, it should have.
That was a horrible decision.
It was an outrageous decision.
Yeah.
But first of all, you were completely dominated by United. Worst team in the league this year. You need a point, right? What did they need? Just a point, right?
1 point.
They needed a win. They needed a win.
They needed a win before the game.
Before the Newcastle game. And then when Newcastle was losing.
But ultimately, they just needed a point, right?
Yeah.
And just to go out there and just be a shadow of yourself against it. Like I said, one of the worst.
That was shocking, man. That was shocking.
It's like they didn't even want it. And to come and cry about a decision. I mean, it's one of the worst decisions. I mean, we've seen bad decisions this year, right? But this is one of the worst decisions.
That's the one to end the season.
But the fact that you qualify or not doesn't come down to this, man.
It doesn't come down.
Where was your performance on the day first? You know, at least if you performed and then this happens to you, we're gonna be like, yes, you got robbed. But I mean, I don't even think you got robbed, man, because you didn't do anything. And then two, you just have a lackluster season. This is not. You don't wait till the last game of the season to try and cry. And I mean, it all goes down to my friend, and I have to speak to him. I have to speak about it. Just objectively, Unai Emery,
of course, very objectively, of course.
Unai Emery, where does that leave him? Where does that leave him?
This guy's guts, man.
Just to fail, no, not even to fail to get into the Champions League, to fail to win anything again this year. I mean, is it regression for him? I mean, you tell me.
I mean, okay, like it's Aston Villa. I feel like everything has to be like the caveat, the asterisk has to be. This is Aston Villa. They were in the Champions League this year. We talked about Newcastle last year in the Champions League, and we saw what happened to them. They were like 8th or 9th. I don't know where they finished. They didn't even make Europe in the end. So, in that sense, it's a decent season that you can come back and still make Europe, and you probably should have made Champions League. You kind of bottled there, let's be honest, because you're playing probably the worst team in the league, and you just disappear. And Martinez has a brain fart. I don't know what that was. Like that, I think he was. Before he was playing,
I think that was a red card as well. Like that was another bad decision for me because
that was a red.
What? That's a red card.
I don't think. But I think Holland was going away from goal. It's not like he was like.
Oh, look at where he was. That's a tap in. He was shooting that.
And it's Hoyland as well. You know he was gonna.
Yeah, but you're not gonna say, oh, we're not gonna give a record.
The referee gonna be like,
and it's Hoyland. And it's Hoyland. There was nothing guaranteed there. Nothing guaranteed.
Oh, bro, that's a red, bro. That's a red.
No.
No, but I mean, he could have just left him, though. I don't know why he did that. Like, just let him score. Like you said, he's Hoyland. Like, you may have missed anyway. So just let him, and then you can live to fight another day. But yeah, I just thought that was such a dumb decision from him. And obviously, in the heat of the moment, you cannot just do stuff. But yeah, they just didn't turn up, and they didn't turn up against Crystal Palace in the FA Cup as well. Yeah. So that's another one. So I think they will have some regrets. But I think at the end of the day, it's Aston Villa. So you finish in Europe. It's a decent season. You were in Europe and you still finished in Europe. It's a decent season.
Saying it's Aston Villa, it's all well and good to say that. But I mean, the guy spent a lot of money.
He spent a lot of money.
Exactly. So you can't just come and say it's Aston Villa. No, the guy spent a lot of money.
At the end of the day,
a lot of money. The guy is building a squad. This is his squad, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm not saying this is a good season. Obviously, it's a regression from last season.
I mean, the way you're just saying it's Aston Villa, like they need to take whatever they get. No, I mean, I don't think.
No, I'm saying
their fans or their owners, this is going to be good enough for them.
I don't think their fans will be outraged by this. They'll be disappointed that they didn't make Champions League, but they'll be like, well, we're still back in Europe. and we're probably in a competition that we have more chance of winning. Yes, you want to be in the Champions League, but you're never going to win Champions League, not anytime soon.
That's one nice bread and butter, the Europa.
Yeah, exactly. You're in this guy's competition that he wins all the time, and yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like a club like Aston Villa, I always say I say that because I think you also have to look at the stature of the club. For me, at least, for a club like Aston Villa,
Aston Villa is not a small team.
It's a massive.
It's not a small team, but it's not a big. It's not one of
as big a club as Newcastle, like right now.
Yeah. So if a Newcastle
team, so like it's. I mean, I know Spurs.
If a Newcastle is in Europe,
if a Newcastle is in Europe, club.
It's a big club. It's not one of the biggest clubs in the country. If a team like Newcastle, for example, is in Europe and they get Europe again, you're like, wow, you did well. Obviously, Newcastle is kind of different because they have the backing and blah blah blah. But those guys said they're not gonna spend that much, so they're trying to do things organically. So if a team like Newcastle in the Champions League next season goes and gets Europa League, they might be disappointed, but you'll be like, to be fair, it's Newcastle. They were in the Champions League, and this season they get Europa League. I mean, that's for me. A team like Aston Villa, again, I think you in the Champions League and you went kind of deep in the Champions League. You lost to probably the best team in Europe. Maybe if you hadn't played them, you would have gone even deeper. I don't know. And you went deep in the FA Cup, and then Premier League, you could have got it. Last day, you messed up on the last day. You could have got Champions League again. For me, it's decent. Obviously, it could have been way better, but it's decent for me. But I don't know.
No, I would agree with that. When you put everything on the table like this, yes, you have to say, okay, it's not terrible. You definitely cannot say it's terrible or like it's massive regression or anything like that. It's a standstill. Like they could have taken a step further, and you got to look at that as well. The fact that they were close with everything, with getting a trophy, with getting Champions League and stuff like that. But we can't just brush aside the fact that this guy has spent. He's built a squad that should have been competing for all these things, not comfortably, but with better a better turnout. So I'm disappointed for them. I thought they would have done a little bit better, and that would have been crowned with making the Champions League. But that performance I saw against Manchester United, I just couldn't believe it. We were here sitting, oh yeah, this is a loss. Yeah,
they played like they had nothing to play for.
They played like they had nothing. There was no intensity, nothing. You're letting United play you out. And we played our best game of
ever.
When there is nothing to play for.
Since 1999.
Since 1999, bro. That's been the best game.
Go back to black and white to see. Like, they didn't turn up. And Unai was livid. He was livid. That penalty decision, man. That hurt for them because they could have, after that, they were still 10 men. They could have parked the bus, and knowing United, it would have been really hard for us to break them down. So that really changed the game. It changed the outcome. But Champions League wasn't to be won on that day. I agree with you guys. You guys had opportunities for that coming into it. And even on the day off, like, come on. You had to do better than this. You had to show a little more fight. So disappointing, but I know they will come again. With a few additions, they become really, really scary, and especially if they keep some of their loans, which really went well for them. So I guess Unai would take the positive, and the negative, man, can't really do much about it. It was really unfortunate the way it went down.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I'm saying that is regression is that was this his third year there, right?
2.5. Because he came
2.5 years. Okay.
Yeah,
so I'll just the way I'm thinking. No one is expecting Aston Villa to win trophies and will compete for the league or go win the Champions League or whatever. Nobody is expecting that from him. But I'm just saying, like, having had the season that you had last year, for you to I think the least that they would have wanted is solidify that position in the Champions League. So I think the least that they should have done this year is to get into that Champions League. That's without even talking about the FA Cup run, having got to the semi-final, losing to Crystal Palace like that, and the way you lost like that as well, just without even fighting. It's like whenever whenever the pressure to get something arose, they just didn't show up for it. That like you said, Terry, they kind of bottled it. In a league and in the cup. I'm not even going to talk about the Champions League, because they eventually lost to one of the
final,
one of the finals. So and they're still a very small club in the Champions League. But domestically, I think if I was a Villa fan and we had a season that we had last year, we have a manager of the caliber that is supposed to be Unai Emery at the club. I think the natural progression is just to solidify our position in the Champions League. And listen, they got out of the Champions League a long time ago. I mean, it doesn't feel too long, but it wasn't yesterday that they got out of it. So they had time to focus on the league itself and just focus on those games to make sure that they get back into it. They had time. I think they had about 8 games to do it. 8 games to do it.
More, I think even.
Yeah, so that's not an excuse to say. I mean, you got out of this competition a long time ago, refocus, but he wasn't able to do that. And at the end of the day, he brought it on himself. But in terms of, I understand what you're saying, it's Aston Villa, and in terms of Aston Villa getting into, Europe in Europa League, it's a decent season for them. It's a decent season for them. But the natural progression would expect. This is the way I see it. Would expect them to solidify their position in the Champions League for another year. In terms of moving forward to next year, well, we said that it's his competition, right? And Aston Villa is going to go into that competition, as one of the favorites, I think. So he's going to have to show that, because I think with all these teams strengthening next season, it's not going to be the same. Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, we don't know what they're going to do. Probably, Newcastle, you guys, Spurs, it's going to be more difficult for them to get into the Champions League that way. So I think the best way for them to get back into the Champions League would be to win the Europa League.
Yeah.
Are they going to have the bottle to do it? We'll just have to wait and see. But that's just my 2 cents on Villa. I'm not going to go too much on Unai Emery, but
give him some slacks, man, just for today. He went through a rough day, man.
That was a rough day for them, man. They were living.
Man, veins was about to pop, man. Jeez.
His head was about to pop, man.
Veins was about to pop. All right, well, let's talk about the last team that was in the race for Europe, and Nottingham Forest, who were third for a long time until the wheels kind of came off in the end, but finishing 7th. I know the owner probably doesn't think so, having got his butt on the field the other day, thinking we are in Eastern Europe or something. I mean, we don't. Who does he think he is, this guy, man?
He was big, man.
That's embarrassing, man. That's embarrassing. But yeah, that's for me. If you would have said at the beginning of the season that Nottingham Forest was going to finish 7th, and we don't even know right now if they're going to finish. I think if Chelsea wins, they get into the Europa League, right? Or no,
yeah, I think they're getting Conference League.
Is that for sure?
I think they're for sure in Conference League. I'm not sure actually, but I think if Chelsea wins, they definitely get in Conference League. But I don't know if they're already in it. I don't know. I think they might.
I think they are. I heard that being confirmed. That
I think they got Conference League for sure.
Yeah,
but I think there's a scenario where they can jump into the Europa League and there will be and there'll be no teams in the Conference League. I think there's a scenario. But
would Brighton not go? Because I think I heard something about Brighton as well.
Yeah, maybe I don't know how. I just can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know how this works.
We'll just poor research there, feuding bros. Poor research.
Yeah. Next time we'll be ready.
We're gonna have to fix that for next time, all right? But yeah, Nottingham Forest, man. Nottingham Forest. Let's discuss them, man. I mean, yeah. Tell me about it. What do you think? How do you think the season went?
I mean, obviously they're gonna be very disappointed because you were third for a long time, and I personally didn't believe they would make Champions League, but I thought they would at least make Europa. So for them to drop in conference, in that sense, you're disappointed. But bearing in mind, I think their fans will be disappointed right now, but like in a few days' time, you're like, well, last year we finished like what 15th, I don't know, 17th. Like they were scraping by last year, sacking managers, like trying to stay in the league, you know, and to make that jump from I think they nearly doubled their points tally from one season to the next. That's massive. Like there's not many teams that can that ever do that. So in any league even. So yeah, they've had a big season. I mean, 19 wins for a team like Nottingham Forest to win half your games. That is huge. Yeah. So I think they're gonna be disappointed right now. Conference League wasn't probably, when you think about Europe, you're not thinking about Conference League. But for a team like Forest, you get into a European competition that you have a decent chance of winning if we want to be realistic. Yeah, I think in a few days they're gonna be happy. I think the owner as well, he's gonna accept it.
That's just what you do when you want to ruin your team's momentum. That's just exactly when your team is like good and that they have good harmony and they just come in. That's exactly what you do, man.
You know, he had some investments already lined up with that.
That's the thing, yeah. He had made plans. Like he had the yacht, he had the holiday set up.
They already popped the champagne. They already popped the champagne.
He was lined up, and he was like, "Man, Esperino."
And then you come and embarrass him like that.
And the crazy thing is, like, you went to Esperino. Like, what did he do? Like,
what is he gonna do?
Esperino was like, "Okay, let me do my sub," and then you blaming him. That was not a good look, man. He's gonna regret that.
Yeah. I mean, the draw hurt. I mean, to have that win. I mean, that win would have probably secured at least Europa League, you know?
For sure.
Yeah. And to concede right at the last second, and it's against Leicester as well, one of the worst teams in the league, right? And that hurt them. And there's just no recovery from there. I mean, recently they've had some pretty disappointing results. You know, drawing against to Crystal Palace, you know, and then losing to Brentford. That also hurt them. Those are the teams for where you are at. You know, Everton, losing to them for where you are. Those are the teams where you gotta, you know, if you wanna, you know, stay up there, you have to get results out of these games. But I think ultimately what hurt them the most is just the lack of depth in the squad, you know. I think they were just running out of gas, you know, and it's just how it is. Whether for small clubs like that, we all knew that they weren't going to sustain the pace that they set to get to third. But I mean, I think for me they should be proud of themselves. Like I said, the only guy that's gonna mess them up is just that owner, because who's gonna want to work for you, like if you're gonna behave like that whenever something like that you don't like you know happens, you know. I mean, you know,
that's not your job, man. You're not supposed to do that.
If Nuno just turns around tomorrow and be like, "Yo, I'm leaving. I can't take this anymore." You can't blame him. You can't blame him. And then that's
a bad look on him.
That's the whole momentum gone, and then you have to start again with a new, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I didn't understand that reaction. I understand you're disappointed, but it's football, man. It's football. Do you think they did it on purpose? You think they did it on purpose to let that goal in, or what? You see what I mean? It's just football, man. I mean, disappointing in the end, but I mean, for Nottingham Forest, for where they were 2 years ago to where they are now, just to get Europe is just amazing. And again, if they are in the Conference League, that's a competition they can win.
Yeah.
That's a competition they can win, but they just need to have a. And I think the guy has a lot of money as well, so he's probably going to boost up that team. So I think if they make the right recruitments and they have a great manager for me, and to do that, I don't really like his style of play, but I mean it works kind of. So with good recruitments, I think they can do again, compete, and then get back to Europe. Maybe one step further to get into the Europa proper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Good season for them.
All right. Well, just to mention on the champions Liverpool, and I know we spoke about them, already and stuff, but congratulations to Liverpool. Petered out in the end. It's like since they won, they just went on the beach. Who can blame them? That was a long season for. Season. Who can blame them? That Salah decided like it's done. Although he scored in the last game, and just to mention about Salah, man, just ended up winning the
best player of the league,
top goal scorer. It just took everything.
Top assist.
Yeah,
it just took everything, man. What a player! I mean, for me, like I know. This debate and for me, but first of all, for me, I think no one should win the Ballon d'Or this year. There can be a year where no one deserves the Ballon d'Or. You know, there can be that year where you were okay, but no one.
Nobody qualifies.
We're gonna keep our trophy for next year. But since somebody,
the thing is as well, that's what I'm saying with people as well. I think this is because of Ronaldo and Messi. Because if these guys hadn't existed, we would be saying, "Oh, Salah, what a season!" Exactly. But these guys are putting in 60 goals. So when you see like 25 goals, 10 goals, you're like, "What?" But they played well.
And for me, Salah should win it. I think Salah should win it.
Yeah, Salah should win it.
I think he should win it. Talk about Dembele, but if he wins the league, he's gonna have a shout, but. He's only been good for half the season, honestly. And who else you want to talk about? Well, you can't.
What about Yamal though? Is he too young?
But they're not gonna
give it to him.
They're not gonna give it to him.
That's what I was thinking about.
They're not giving it to him. I mean, he's got a shout too, man. He's got what? He's won the double. And
he won the Euros.
And the Euros and stuff, I mean, it's got a shot, but they're not going to give it to a 17-year-old. They're probably
they're not. He's won everything. They cannot give it to him.
He's been instrumental in everything. But I think for me, I think the best player this year has been Mohamed Salah, and that's facts for me. But because he's not gone too far in the Champions League, they're gonna be like, nah, this and that. I mean, there has to be like a set criteria about this. About this now, like it's just a little bit arbitrary for me now. Just like whoever feels like there has to be some criteria. So a set criteria where we can follow now just to get that. Because before it was like before it was the eye test. When Messi and Ronaldo came, it became stat test. And then now what we're basing
now it's journalists. They say it's journalists that vote.
It's journalists that vote. Yeah,
journalists vote.
There's still like I'm sure there's still a criteria that they vote by, but like we don't know. I feel like it changes year on year. Like
I think that well, if there is, I think that they need to be a little bit more transparent.
Exactly about what it is.
About that. All right. Just a last word on the league, but with the the teams that went down and the teams that are going up, they're coming back up. So we saw two terrible teams like in Leicester and Southampton.
Ipswich.
Ipswich wasn't terrible. I mean, Ipswich, I think. They
were leaking goals, man.
They were playing better than the other two. And it's Ipswich. Ipswich like a small little town.
Yeah.
Compared to the other two.
And it's the first time in a long time as well in the Prem.
Yeah, first time.
Yeah, Lico man, Ipswich, man.
Yeah.
Tractor boys, Ipswich, man. You know, but but the other two was just terrible, just leaking goals for teams that been there before.
Yeah.
But I think who's coming up now? Is it going to be
Leeds, Burnley, and Sunderland? Sunderland is back.
Sunderland is back after years as well.
I
think Sunderland is going straight back down.
Yeah.
I think they were lucky against Sheffield, man.
They were
very lucky. They were getting bad for a long time. Going straight back down. But for the other two, I mean, Leeds again, they're back. They're just becoming that yo-yo club.
Yeah.
They're just becoming just up and down. Too good for the championship and too weak for the Prem, and Burnley as well. Like Burnley,
same thing.
Burnley again, but yeah.
Chelsea United too. They didn't get promoted this time, but
that
would have been the same. Yeah,
they'll probably come next year.
They'll probably come
next year. Yeah, it's just they're just going merry-go-round on this. But yeah, we'll see what they do next year. All right, well, let's wrap it up for this review of the league.